Your life is every level of a Wall Street trader. Level 1, the intern. You're 21 years old, standing in the lobby of a building that costs more per square foot than your parents' house is worth. You're wearing a suit you bought at Macy's with a credit card you can't pay off. Everyone around you is wearing suits that don't come from Macy's. You can tell, but you can't explain how. Something about the way the fabric falls. You learn to notice things like that fast. There are 40 interns. 4 will get offers. The math is simple and violent. You work 16-hour days doing tasks that don't matter, building models nobody reads, formatting slides that get reformatted by someone above you. The actual work is irrelevant. The internship is a 10-week audition, and the performance being evaluated has nothing to do with Excel. It's about whether you can absorb punishment without flinching. Whether you laugh at the right jokes. Whether you drink enough at the networking events to seem human but not so much that you seem weak. You survive on coffee and adrenaline and a fear of returning to the life you came from. Not because that life was bad, but because you've seen what this life could be. The managing directors drive cars that cost more than your student loans. Their watches cost more than your car. They speak casually about numbers that would take your father 30 years to earn. You want that. Not the watches specifically, not the cars. You want the casual relationship with large numbers. You want money to stop being something you worry about and start being something you play with. You get the offer. 3 others don't. One of them cries in the bathroom on the last day. You feel bad for about 11 minutes, and then you go to the celebration dinner and order a steak that costs $74 and don't think about him again. That's the first lesson. Empathy is expensive, and you're learning to budget. Level 2, the analyst. You start at $110,000 base plus a bonus that depends on how much pain you can absorb. The money feels enormous until you realize where it goes. Rent in Manhattan eats $3,200 a month for a studio apartment where you can touch both walls if you stretch your arms out. Taxes take 40% because you live in New York and the government treats your income like a resource to be extracted. You net maybe $5,800 a month after everything. You're technically well paid. You're functionally surviving. But it doesn't matter because you're never home anyway. The hours are 80 to 100 per week. Not metaphorically. Actually 80 to 100 hours. You arrive at 9 a.m. and leave at 2 a.m. Sometimes you don't leave at all. There's a couch in the office that smells like desperation and dry cleaning. You learn to sleep on it in your suit so you can be at your desk by 7 when the vice president arrives and pretends he's been there since 6. You build financial models that value companies at billions of dollars. You don't understand half of what you're modeling, but you understand the math. The math always works if you pick the right assumptions. That's the second lesson, and it's the most dangerous one you'll ever learn. You can make any number say anything if you control the inputs. A company is worth $4 billion or $12 billion depending on the growth rate you assume, the discount rate you apply, the terminal multiple you select. These aren't lies exactly. They're stories told in numbers. Your job is to make the numbers tell the story the client wants to hear. A managing director pulls you aside after a pitch. He says you did good work on the model. Then he says next time, make the valuation higher. The client wants to sell their company, and buyers pay more for companies that look like they're growing fast. You adjust the revenue projections upward by 15%. You change the comparable companies to ones that trade at higher multiples. The math still works. It always works. The deal closes at a valuation 30% above what you originally calculated. The bank earns a $14 million fee. Your bonus that year is $40,000. You take a car home at 3 a.m. the night the deal closes and feel something you'll spend years chasing. Not pride exactly. Relevance. You touched $14 million. You didn't earn it, didn't keep it, but you touched it. And touching large numbers changes the way you see small ones. Your girlfriend breaks up with you in month 8. She says she never sees you. She's right. You've canceled dinner 6 times in the last month. You missed her birthday because a client in Houston needed a revised pitch book by morning. You feel guilty for about a week, then you get staffed on a new deal and the guilt gets buried under the work. Not resolved. Buried. There's a difference, but you won't notice it for years. Level 3, the associate. 2 years in, you get promoted. $150,000 base. The bonus potential doubles. You manage analysts now, which means you delegate the suffering you used to absorb directly. You review their models at midnight and send them back with corrections that could have waited until morning, but don't because nobody did that for you. You're not being cruel. You're maintaining standards. That's what you tell yourself, and it's partially true. You start traveling. Client meetings in Chicago, Dallas, San Francisco. Business class on the company card. Hotels where someone puts a chocolate on your pillow and calls you sir. You develop preferences. Window seat, aisle seat becomes a personality trait. You have a favorite hotel chain. You have opinions about airport lounges. These details feel important because they're the texture of a life that's becoming increasingly defined by transactions. The deals get bigger. You work on a merger worth $8 billion. Two companies combining because some consultant produced a slide deck proving they'd be worth more together than apart. The math supports this. The math always supports this. What the math doesn't capture is that 4,000 people will lose their jobs in the efficiency consolidation. The word efficiency does a lot of heavy lifting in finance. It means profitable. It means fewer people doing more work. It means someone in Ohio is going to get a phone call telling them their position has been eliminated, and your bonus depends on that phone call happening. You don't make the call. You don't even know the people who get the call. You just build the model that justifies the call. There are layers of abstraction between you and the consequences. Enough layers that you can go to dinner afterward and not think about Ohio. This is how the system is designed. Not to make you evil, but to make the distance between your actions and their effects large enough that guilt can't cross it. A vice president you respect takes you to drinks. He's been in the industry for 12 years. He tells you the money gets better but the work stays the same. He says most people leave after 3 to 5 years. Go to private equity, hedge funds, corporate strategy. The ones who stay are either building something or running from something. He doesn't tell you which one he is. You don't ask. He orders a bourbon that costs $45 a glass. You order the same one because you're learning that mimicry is a form of ambition in this industry. Level 4, the vice president. You're 28 now. Base salary $250,000. Bonus last year was $300,000. You make more than your parents combined, and you've started to notice that this fact changes how they talk to you. Your father asks about the markets. He never cared about markets before. Your mother mentions the kitchen needs renovating, not as a request exactly, but the information hangs in the air between you like a price tag. You pay for the kitchen. You pay for their vacation. You start paying for everything because money has become the easiest language you speak. Your new job is relationships. Not spreadsheets anymore. Relationships. You take CEOs to dinner. You remember their kids' names. You send congratulations when their daughter gets into college. You attend their charity galas and bid on auction items you don't want because generosity is a form of marketing when you're selling financial services. You're good at this. You've always been good at reading people, at making them feel heard, at translating their anxieties into structured solutions. A CEO tells you he's worried about succession planning. You don't hear a human concern. You hear a potential advisory mandate worth $5 million in fees. You've been trained to hear money in every sentence, and the training is complete. You can't turn it off anymore. You start dating someone who works in fashion. She makes $62,000 a year. The income gap creates a geometry in the relationship that neither of you acknowledges directly. You pay for everything. Not because she asks, but because the alternative would require conversations about money that would make visible the distance between your lives. You eat at restaurants where the bill is $400 and you don't look at the check before signing it. She notices. She always notices. She mentions once that the appetizer you ordered casually costs more than her daily food budget. You laugh because you think she's joking. She's not joking. She's telling you something about who you've become, but the message requires a receiver you no longer have. A deal goes wrong. A company you advised on an acquisition discovers the target had hidden liabilities. $200 million in environmental cleanup costs that didn't appear in the due diligence. The CEO calls you at 11 p.m. screaming. Your bank's liability is limited by the engagement letter to the fee you charged. $7 million. The company eats the $200 million loss. 1,200 employees get laid off to cover the shortfall. You feel responsible for about 3 days. Then the legal team assures you the bank followed standard procedures. The due diligence was within industry norms. The fact that industry norms are designed to protect the bank and not the client is a truth you've stopped examining. Your bonus that year is $350,000. Some of it came from that deal. You deposit the check and take your girlfriend to Turks and Caicos. She posts photos. You look happy. You might be happy. It's getting harder to tell. Level 5, the managing director. You're 34. Total compensation last year was $1.2 million. You've crossed the line where money stops solving problems and starts creating different ones. Your accountant is more important than your doctor. Your tax strategy is more complex than most people's entire financial lives. You own an apartment in Tribeca worth $3.4 million. You owe $2.8 million on it. The monthly payment is $16,000, which would be terrifying to anyone who doesn't make what you make, but to you it's just a number that auto-debits on the first of the month. You don't even check anymore. Your job now is to generate revenue. Not manage it, not analyze it. Generate it. $20 million minimum annually or you get managed out. The pressure is absolute and constant. Every relationship is a potential mandate. Every dinner is a soft pitch. Every golf game is a negotiation disguised as leisure. You play golf now. You never played golf before Wall Street, but golf is where deals happen, so you took lessons and bought clubs that cost $4,000 and developed an opinion about course design that you express with the confidence of someone who's been playing for decades. You bring in a deal that generates $22 million in fees. The biggest of the year for your group. The CEO of the acquiring company thanks you at the closing dinner. He says he trusts you. Trust is the currency that makes everything else work. People give their money to people they trust. The fact that your trustworthiness is economically motivated doesn't make it fake exactly. You do care about your clients. You want them to succeed. You also want them to succeed because their success generates fees that determine your bonus. These motivations coexist without conflict because you've built a psychological architecture that doesn't require them to be separated. You fire a junior analyst for the first time. He's 23, reminds you of yourself. He made an error in a model that went to a client. The error was small, $4 million on a $6 billion valuation, effectively a rounding error. But the client noticed, and your credibility depends on perfection. You tell him it's not personal. It is personal. Everything in this business is personal. It's just expressed in spreadsheets. He clears his desk at 10 p.m. Security escorts him out. You watch from your office and feel the exact thing your vice president felt when he fired someone 10 years ago. Nothing. Not cruelty, not satisfaction. Just the mechanical execution of a system that requires sacrifices to maintain its standards. The girlfriend from fashion is gone. She left 2 years ago. She said you were absent even when you were present. That you'd check your phone during conversations and not realize you'd done it. That your eyes went somewhere else when she talked about things that didn't involve numbers. She was right about all of it. You didn't argue because arguing would have required an emotional fluency you've let atrophy. You've been optimizing for professional performance so long that the personal hardware has degraded. You date occasionally. Women who understand the lifestyle. Bankers, lawyers, consultants. People who speak the same language of achievement and exhaustion. The relationships are efficient and shallow. Nobody has time for depth. Level 6, the partner. You've moved to a hedge fund. The bank was making you rich. The fund will make you wealthy. There's a difference. Rich is income. Wealthy is assets. Rich people work. Wealthy people own. Your compensation is now tied to performance. 2% management fee on $4 billion in assets, plus 20% of profits above a hurdle rate. If the fund returns 15%, your personal take is somewhere around $8 million. If it returns 25%, that number approaches $18 million. If it loses money, you still collect management fees, but your reputation erodes, and reputation is the only thing that keeps the capital flowing. You trade differently now. Not companies anymore. Markets. Interest rates, currencies, credit spreads, volatility itself. You bet on abstractions. When the Federal Reserve raises rates, you make money because you predicted it. When they don't, you make money because you hedged against being wrong. The goal isn't to be right. The goal is to make money regardless of what happens. This is called being market neutral. It sounds sophisticated because it is. It's also a philosophy that, if you think about it long enough, describes a person who has optimized away the capacity to believe in anything. You start moving in circles where the numbers become absurd. Dinner with a sovereign wealth fund manager who controls $300 billion. A weekend in Davos where billionaires discuss inequality over $200 bottles of wine. A charity gala where the ticket costs $50,000 and the cause is poverty. The irony doesn't register because irony requires a perspective you've traded for access. You're inside the room now. The room where decisions that affect millions of people are made by dozens of people who know each other's children's names. You earned your way in. You're smart. You work hard. You understand risk better than almost anyone alive. None of that changes the fact that the room exists and most people don't know it does. Your fund bets against the housing market 18 months before the correction everyone pretends they didn't see coming. You saw it. The data was clear. Mortgage defaults climbing, leverage ratios unsustainable, rating agencies rubber stamping securities that were engineered to fail. You didn't cause the crisis. You just positioned yourself to profit from it. When the market collapses, your fund returns 40%. Your personal take is $26 million. 100,000 people lose their homes that quarter. These facts exist in the same universe, but you've built enough abstraction between them that they don't touch each other in your mind. You buy a house in Connecticut. 6 bedrooms, 4 acres. You live there alone because the kind of life that fills a house with family requires a kind of presence you stopped being capable of somewhere around level 3. Your mother visits. She walks through the rooms slowly, touching countertops and door frames like she's in a museum. She says she's proud of you. You believe her. She says your father would have been proud too. He died 3 years ago. Heart attack. You were in Hong Kong closing a deal. You flew back for the funeral and flew back to Hong Kong the same week because the deal had a deadline and death doesn't pause the markets. You missed it. Not the funeral. The dying. The months before, when he was tired and short of breath and your mother kept calling. You were busy. You were always busy. Being busy was the identity you built to justify the distance you needed from the life you came from. Now the distance is permanent and the justification feels thin in a way that no amount of money can thicken. Level 7, the legacy. You're 52. Your net worth is $140 million. You've started a family office to manage it. You employ 6 people whose entire job is to make your money grow while you do whatever you want. The freedom is total. You can go anywhere, buy anything, fund any project. You have more choices than any human being needs. And every morning you wake up at 5:15 a.m. because your body doesn't know how to stop performing. You sit on boards, charitable foundations, university endowments. You give away $3 million a year. The donations are genuine. You care about education because education gave you the ladder. You fund scholarships for kids who look like you did at 21. Standing in the lobby in the Macy's suit. Hungry, terrified, willing to become whatever the system required. You want them to have the opportunity you had. You don't want them to pay the price you paid. But you know they will because the system doesn't offer the opportunity without the price. They're bundled together, inseparable, like the products you used to sell. Your daughter is 14. She lives with her mother in Brooklyn. You see her every other weekend. She's smart in a way that scares you because you recognize the intelligence. It's yours. The pattern recognition, the numerical fluency, the ability to read people. She'll be good at whatever she chooses. You hope she doesn't choose this. You won't tell her that because telling her would require explaining what this cost, and the accounting on that is something you've never been willing to do. You meet a young analyst at a charity event. He's 22, just started at the same bank you started at. He's wearing a suit that doesn't fit quite right. He's nervous and trying not to show it. He asks you for advice. What's the one thing you wish someone had told you? You think about this longer than he expects. You think about the girlfriend who told you that you were absent even when you were present. You think about your father dying in a hospital while you were in a conference room in Hong Kong. You think about the kid you fired for a $4 million rounding error. You think about 100,000 people losing their homes while you made $26 million. You think about all of it, and then you say the thing that every person at your level says because the truth is too expensive to give away for free. You tell him to work hard and stay curious and build relationships and never stop learning. Generic advice that costs nothing and changes nothing. He thanks you and walks away feeling inspired. You watch him disappear into the crowd and feel something you haven't felt in years. Not guilt exactly. Recognition. He's you. 25 years ago. Standing in the lobby. Ready to become whatever the system requires. The system doesn't need villains. It needs people who are good at math and bad at asking what the math is for.